Good morning, and welcome to our fourth episode of Community Matters, Matters that Matter to You. I'm Mayor Mary Alexander Basta, and today's topic is public service and winter weather. I'm joined by experts from our public service department here at the Village of Bolingbrook. But before I allow them to introduce themselves and we go on to our topic, I'd like to introduce Village Co-Administrator Ken Teppel, who will be sharing with us our latest on COVID-19. Ken?
Thank you, Mayor. By now, everyone knows that we are in Tier 1 mitigations, which allows for some limited reopening of services out there in the community. Our mitigations are based upon our region metrics, and right now, Region 7, which is Will County and Kankakee County, are at 7.4%. Now, that's on a rolling 7-day, and we've been there 7 or 8, 9 days now. So that's how we jump right from Tier 3 to Tier 1. We didn't have to go through Tier 2 like a lot of other regions are. So Region 7 right now is at 7.4%, but that's as of January 22nd. The data is a little behind on the Illinois Department of Health website. Will County itself is at 7.8%. Again, that is from January 22nd. But Bolingbrook is at 7.2%, and that's as of January 25th. So the next question is, how do we go from Tier 1 to Phase 4? And we have to go below 6.5%. So we have to be below 6.5% for 3 or more consecutive days in a 7-day rolling period. The difference between Tier 1 and Phase 4 is a little bit, the restrictions are relaxed, and that'll provide for greater numbers of gathering and especially for our restaurants in town that'll allow for more seating. But right now under Tier 1, indoor service at our restaurants are limited to 25% or 25 people per room. Tables have to be 6 feet apart. There could be no more than 4 people at each table unless they're a kind of a family or a group. They live under the same household. Cultural institutions are open, such as the museum on the Bolingbrook History Museum and also the Airport Museum. Those are open with limited capacity. Our hotels are open. Our fitness clubs are open at 50% capacity. But also our meeting events and gatherings are at 25 guests or 25% capacity. So that also allows for some gatherings and some groups, social activities at 25%. And that also allows for some youth sports. So there's a whole matrix on the Illinois Department of Public Health's website for youth sports, depending on what it is. If it's hockey, if it's high contact, low contact. So if you go to the Department of Health website, check on there, and you can see youth and adult sports even. The next question I get a lot are vaccines. What's going on with the vaccine? When can I get it? The governor said everyone 65 and older can get it on January 25th. He's correct, except there's no vaccine. We're hearing a lot about it, but we're just not seeing a lot with the vaccine. There's been 3 or 4 vaccination clinics, if you will, within Will County. So the vaccine comes out of the federal government, goes to the State Department of Public Health. That gets sent out to the county departments of public health. So the state determines how much of the vaccine is going where in the state, and then the county determines where it goes from there. So if they're going to send it to hospitals, if they're going to send it to long-term care facilities, if they're going to send it to some of their partners in the community, the pharmacies, so Jewel Osco, Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Meijer, they all have partnerships with the Department of Public Health to administer the vaccine. So the village doesn't have the vaccine. The village isn't doing any major vaccination clinics. We just don't have it. We're not controlling that resource. The Department of Public Health is, and they're the ones that would come to the village and say, hey, we'd like to do this. So we've been in communication with them. We have a plan in place in case they do come to us, but we are still waiting for that vaccine to come from the federal government. A lot of questions I get is, how can I get vaccinated? I'm 1A or 1B, or I qualify. First of all, call your local healthcare, your personal physician. Give them a call, let them know that you're interested in the vaccine if they get it. Second, if you're a veteran, call the VA. I know the VA has been working on getting out the vaccine as quickly as possible. Also, go to the website of the county that you live in, whether it be DuPage or Will County, and On there, click on keep clicking through the COVID pages and go to, it was called a survey, but now it might be called a registration page for the COVID vaccine. You'll answer some questions and you'll be put into a group. And once the vaccine becomes available for your group, you'll be notified by the County Department of Public Health. Then I also recommend folks get on Meijer, check out the Walmart website, go to CVS, go to Walgreens, get on those websites and register for those vaccines there too in that group. You know, if you get a vaccine one place and then another place calls you, you can always say, no, thank you, I've already gotten it here, and then they'll just go to the next person. But those are my recommendations. As of right now, all of the fire department within the village of Bolingbrook, I believe it was 80 or 88% that wanted to receive the vaccine already have, and we're working on getting the police department through. We're at about 50 to 60% on our frontline officers, so we are working to get our 1A folks completely vaccinated. So there's a lot of talk about vaccine out there. We're just not seeing the actual resource come into Will County and the village of Bolingbrook, but when it does, I recommend everyone just get and register themselves through the county website, and the county will recommend contact them when they need to. But that's where we stand now on COVID and the vaccine, Mayor.
Great, thank you. You had mentioned the fact of residents signing up at multiple locations in order to get the vaccine. So follow-up question to that would be, if I sign up at some place and I get the first dose of the vaccine, can I then get the second dose at a different location?
Excellent question. Right now, there's 2 doses out there. There's the Pfizer dose, which is a 21-day interval, and then there's the Moderna dose, which is a 28-day interval. So wherever you get your first dose, you have to go back and get your second dose. You can't go to, say, the Department of Public Health if they have an open inning down there, and then you can't go to Meijer and get your second dose. You have to go where the provider tells you to go and get your second dose, and you can't cross doses. So if you have Moderna, you have to stay with Moderna. If you have Pfizer, you have to stay with Pfizer.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate the feedback and the update, as I'm sure the residents do as well. Next, to introduce our experts will be Co-Administrator Lucas Rickelman.
Hello. First up, our first expert today is Ken Enda. Not only is he a 30-year employee of Public Works, but he is a lifelong village resident. Ken started working out in the water and wastewater divisions, where he eventually worked his way up to foreman. In 2006, he became the foreman of buildings and grounds, and he was there until he was promoted to facility superintendent in 2016. Since 2016, so the last 5 years, Ken has been our main guy on the snow removal operations, making all the decisions, and he's logged over 2,000 hours in snow plowing. In addition to that, he's got the top certifications from the state in both water and wastewater treatment. Next up, we have Matt Eastman. He came on to the village in 2006 as a planner. He's been the planning and zoning administrator, grants coordinator. He was the chair of the Complete Counts Committee and has done several other things for the village. Today, he's the head of community development and is in charge of the building, planning, and engineering sections. He was also the main person in the census last year and was very vital in getting that complete. Next up, we have Dave Levine, who is our current building and grounds foreman. He took over in 2016 for Ken. Prior to that, he was with the village, so a total of 29 years. He's worked with the street department and the asphalt and concrete crew, and is currently the main guy in the office that's directing the guys actually on the street. So Ken makes the decisions on what we're gonna do, and Ken's the guy that's, Dave is the guy that is directing the snow drivers. Dave also has over 5,000 hours in behind a plow. Lastly, we have Steve Miller, who is with the forestry department. He started in 1999 and then worked his way up to be the foreman of forestry. He is a certified IHSA arborist and a municipal specialist. And not only has he been asked to talk in several conferences around the states at the Morba Moderatum, but he was also invited to Hong Kong to talk about a municipal response to emerald ash borer.
Thank you, Lucas. What a great deal of experience we have in the room today. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Remember that if you're joining us on Facebook Live, you can join the conversation by sending in your questions to any of our experts, and we will respond to those live as well. Our first question comes at a perfect time with what's going on outside right now, which brings me to thanking all of our public works snowplows that have been out all night. I personally had the opportunity to join the snowplow crew out on the roads last night, and I'd like to share a little bit with those that are watching. Good evening, Bolingbrook. We are here in a snowplow going live. We're on Boughton. This is from the eyes of public service and our snowplow crew. Snow Command is doing a great job keeping our roads safe, cleaning the snow as it comes down. We're expecting, how much do you think snow we're expecting or we've gotten already?
We probably got looks like about a good inch. Hopefully, they're calling about 3 to 5 by morning.
So 3 to 5 inches by tomorrow morning. We are currently doing the main roads, correct?
Yes, correct. Main roads.
Currently, we have about 16 or 17 public works trucks out doing the main roads. After they finish cleaning main roads, they will be on secondary roads. So these guys have been out and about since the snow started. My particular snowplow driver has been on duty since 7 a.m. So it is a long day for these guys, trying to keep us safe, take care of our community, take care of our roads. Kudos to them for doing a wonderful job. I have to tell you, it's an amazing experience, and it is definitely not as easy as some may think it is. So again, thank you so much. Now to our questions. Ken, this one's for you. Can you explain how our snowplow operations work, and how does it pertain to the state and county roads in town?
Right, the way I'm going to take this off. The way our plan is made is all roads are classified either as a main, a secondary, a side street, or a cul-de-sac. So main and secondary roads are what we usually start on the storm. So when it starts snowing, that's where we're at. But I want to explain a little bit what a main and a secondary is. So basically, every home in town, within 1 to 2 blocks of your house, you will find a clean street. It is designed so if you can get off your block and get to that first clean street, you'll have a clear path all the way to I-55 or 355. And it's also a reverse. We want to make sure fire and police have access to your neighborhood so they can get within a 1 block of your house. And I'm sure fire and police have alternate plans on getting into your house. But so side streets and cul-de-sacs, we only do those when it's 2 inches or more, or if we had an ice storm. So, but far as the mains and secondaries, we have a bare pavement policy. So what that means is we will stay on those roads until they're wet, where there's no snow on it. Side streets, we come down, we will plow and salt, but typically we just salt hills, intersections, and curves. Dave's going to be going over why we don't salt a lot. Salt is bad for the environment, but that's what it is. So once we get to the mains and secondaries, once we get those that are handled, then we move on and then we start doing the sides and secondaries.
Thank you. My understanding is that after last night's storm, that we are currently now going into the side streets and the cul-de-sacs as of the latest update this morning, correct?
For the last 3 hours or so, we've been in.
All right, very good. Next question we have is for Mr. Eastman. And this is a big question and one of our main roads. When will the construction on Weber Road be complete?
Yeah, so obviously that's been a major project that has not only affected Bolingbrook but neighboring communities. It's been underway now here for well over 2 years. Planning, a lot of planning behind it. But the good thing is one of the big first stages was completed Christmas 2020. So with the weather now changing, everything has been pretty much put on hold until the weather breaks in spring. But I would think by the end of 2021, all the pavement will be done and it will be, somewhat operational. They'll have to come back in 2022 to kind of button up things with traffic signals, landscaping, kind of their punch list items. But I think by the end of this year, we should have that diverging diamond up and running. And that's a good thing that will really alleviate a lot of the stress that people deal with on Weber Road when they have to get to I-55. So that will be a tremendous help to the area. And then I would also just touch on, outside of Weber Road, there was also a few major projects that got completed last year as well. Kings Road and the roundabout were both 100% complete. So I don't know if everyone has gotten the chance to see it, but if you haven't, I would take a ride over. Kings Road turned out great, and the roundabout is a great feature as well over near the golf course. So those two things are done. And Rodeo Drive, the stretch from Carlo to that roundabout that I'm speaking about, the two south lanes were completed by Northern Builders last year. So there are a few small punch list items that will get completed in the spring, but for the majority of that road, that is pretty much 100% almost done as well. So some big stretches of road that have gotten taken care of. And Bolingbrook, as it speaks right now, there's only a few little stretches left that aren't done yet, and they're in the works. So you can pretty much get anywhere you need from the east to the west side of Bolingbrook without having to hit too many problems. So.
Thank you. One of the questions that have come in online, and actually one of our questions as well. Dave, this one is for you. Do the snow plows knock down the mailboxes, or does the snow knock down the mailboxes? And what is our replacement policy if and when that does happen?
I would say 90% it's the knockdowns from the discharge of the snow. As far as our replacement policy, if you wake up in the morning, your mailbox is knocked down, you could go on the village's website. You could go on the service card, click on that, it'll walk you through. Kind of get a brief description on what kind of mailbox you have. Do you need a temporary? We'll bring out a temporary if you need it right away. So basically, we'll have someone go out and investigate, make sure it was our fault. If we show up and you got a Mitsubishi bumper in your front yard and your mailbox is down and you got tire tracks, the odds are we won't replace that. But if it's our fault, we'll replace it.
Very good, thank you. Next question, Ken, this is for you. Why does the plow always push the snow in my driveway?
Yeah, this is a question we get every year. I think a lot of people call it snow removal. We're more snow relocation. All we do is push the snow to the right. That's what we do. We don't take it back with us. We start in the middle of the road and we push it to the right. For a normal side street, it takes 4 passes. That means 4 times the truck has to go down. And believe it or not, when we get home, we have to do the bottom of our driveway as well. So we don't do it intentionally. It's the nature of where we live. To remove the snow from the street, we have to push it to the right, and unfortunately, that's where the driveways are.
Well, there you have it, folks. Sorry, you're gonna still have to shovel a little bit more of the driveway. Dave, back to you. How much does a typical snowstorm cost?
Snowstorms vary. If you got a storm approaching, last 2 hours, 3 hours, dumps an inch, gets out of here, relatively cheap. 1 inch storm, it could cost $13,000 or it cost $28,000. So it depends. If it starts on a Monday when everybody's here, starts on straight time, we clean up the storm by midnight, so it's a cheap storm. If it starts on a Friday after we get off, well, then it's all overtime. If it starts on a Friday and the temperatures get really cold, like down to the teens, and we have to go into side streets before they turn to ice, that also costs a lot more money. If there's a holiday, say it starts snowing on Christmas Eve, and we got to be out there for 10, 12 hours, well, that adds a lot of cost. But overall, this year we've had 7 events, and we're about $18,000 an inch right now. Now, years ago, it used to be probably 20 to 25,000 an inch. But due to the low cost of salt, these days, salt's down like $37 from last year. And also, when we approach a storm, we ask ourselves a few questions. We're like, what do we got to do to keep the roads safe for the residents? What can we do to be fiscally responsible? And what can we do to be environmentally responsible? And then decisions are made from there.
Well, that's a good average number. So $18,000 per inch on average, with no overtime, no holiday, basically, right? That's a very interesting fact. I don't think many residents realize the cost.
Yeah, there's a lot of different variants.
And I know our first snowstorm that we had was during a holiday, I believe. So that kind of escalated up in terms of costs.
Correct.
Good. Steve, I know you've been very quiet, but we have some interesting topics for you as well. Outside of the winter weather, looking at trees, emerald ash, can you tell us about them? And will the village replace a residence trees?
Of course. I'll be very brief on the development of the emerald ash borer. First was found in Detroit in 2001, so it's been here 20 years. It's impacted us heavily. What this beetle does, she lays 60 to 90 eggs on the bark, which burrow into where that smooth part is. That's like the plumbing of the tree, and they eat in there, so it interrupts the flow of water and nutrients. The tree begins to die, and it can happen quickly. So as far as removal, replacement, ultimately that's what it is, and it's that easy. Remove the old, put in the new. However, there are steps in between that take some time. You'll have a grindings pile out there, and we'll get that removed. The tree gets planted, and ultimately some dirt and seed will be put down as needed. The short answer is yes, we will remove it and replace it. We are not quite done with EAB, and this is something that has gone nationwide. We're all suffering with this together.
Just to add to that, in town, we've removed over 10,000 ash trees. So it really has affected all our parkway trees, not to mention homeowners' trees in their own backyard. I'm sure they've been affected as well.
Well, that leads us to the next question. Will the village come out and inspect a tree on private property?
Yes, we do, and that's probably an underused service. We've always done that. Somebody has a question, what is that spot on the leaf of my tree? I love that tree. Yes, we will come on the property and inspect and diagnose. However, that's where it stops. We could make recommendations, but we obviously don't work on private property.
Got you. Dave, as it relates to trees and the environment, can you talk to us on how salt has an effect on the environment and what we're doing to offset that as a village?
All right. Well, when the truck spread the salt, basically the salt breaks down, turns to chloride. When it turns to brine, all that runoff runs into storm sewers, which runs to the rivers, which runs to the lakes. Chloride is relatively benign in low concentrates, but when you get the high concentrates, it could kill off aquatic life, plankton, fish. Basically, from when I started here a few decades ago, we probably dropped our salt consumption probably about 100 to 150 tons per lane mile. We used to do like 350 pounds per lane mile. We try to keep it down about 250 pounds per lane mile. And also what happens from all that runoff, when it gets into the lake and you have high concentrations, it could cause a salt pocket. What happens is it's pretty much a biological dead zone. The lake can't naturally mix itself. Lakes normally mix themselves. but because of the high concentrations of salt, it creates that dead zone, which is not good for the environment. Not only it's not good for the environment, it's not good for infrastructure. You know, you could go underneath some bridges and you just see them rusting. You know, you see the rebar sticking out. I mean, it's not good, but we've been doing our part over the past decade or two to drop our consumptions considerably. So definitely doing our part.
Great, thank you. Just a reminder to those watching on Facebook, if you do have any questions for our experts, please feel free to ask those and we will get responses to you. Matt, can you tell us a little bit about the Village's Sidewalk program?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess before I get too much into the actual program and how we kind of monitor it and facilitate it, I'd like to just say that if you did have a complaint about a sidewalk in your neighborhood or out in front of your house, you can always contact Public Services at 226-8800. Or now we actually have something on the Village website. It's www.bolingbrook.com/village_services. And you can report anything from curb damage to sidewalk damage to downed mailboxes, all different types of things. You can now just simply go on either the app or the website and put those village requests in. And then once we start to receive the requests, we obviously compile a list for removal and replacement of said sidewalks. We go out and evaluate those once a year. So as part of our street removal and replacement program, they also evaluate all the sidewalks. So not only do we have the list that comes in from the residents themselves, but then staff is out monitoring that as well, looking to see, you know, areas that are in need of replacement. If it does in fact require removal and replacement, the homeowner may be doing work on their driveway, for instance. Those are instances where we'll allow them to then replace the driveway and those few blocks that are in between the parkway and their driveway. And then if they submit the lowest bid, we would then reimburse them for that section of sidewalk that was replaced with their driveway. So those are some instances where we work hand in hand with the homeowner. But absolutely, the best thing to do is get on there, use those services, use the website. It's a great tool to actually, you know, get those complaints heard, because we can't catch everything, so we do depend upon the residents to let us know if there's an issue, whether it's sidewalk, curb and gutter, any of those things. Just let us know, and it will be placed on a list, and then throughout the year, we'll then compile that list and then make recommendations on who gets replaced when. So that's kind of the summary of it.
Great, thank you. While we're on that topic, can you share with us a little bit about what requires a permit as it stands with homeowners, what type of jobs that they would need a permit for? And then secondly, are we transitioning into an online permitting system for our residents?
Yeah, I can definitely touch on that. So when you consider any work that you're going to be doing at home, simple cosmetic things, painting, flooring, stuff like that does not require a permit. But anytime you're going to be doing some structural things, whether it's plumbing, electric, you're moving a wall, those are the types of things where a building permit's going to be required. That permit is really utilized to kind of protect you as the resident and make sure that the work is done correctly and then inspected. So you kind of feel safe to know that the contractor did what he was supposed to do. But what we are going to be utilizing now is a program called OpenGov, which I'm really excited about. It's going to really help transition the village of Bolingbrook and kind of take the town center and put it online, so to speak, so that simple things like replacing your roof, replacing windows, you know, you don't have to send the contractor in, or you don't have to take your lunch break and come over here. It'll be simple as going online, and anything that was formerly over the counter will now be called an express permit. So you're, like I said, replacing your windows, your hot water heater, roof, those types of things that were simply over the counter we can eliminate all that foot traffic and also help free up some of staff's time to be able to, you know, spend less time kind of answering phone calls and more time processing permits and getting things done quickly and fast. So that is where we're going. I'm hoping that within the next week and a half, we have a go-live date of February 2nd to start doing the express permits online. Then eventually we'll transition. You'll be able to, if you're a contractor, you'll be able to register as a contractor online. And then the last step would be to any quote-unquote reviewed permits, so things that actually facilitate and require staff review, so pools, decks, patios, those things that require a review will then be also be able to be submitted online. And the good thing about that is, again, just the convenience for the homeowner. You can pay online. You don't have to come in and, again, take up time of your day. You can do that all through the computer, and also receive comments. If there's staff comments, that'll come electronically. You'll get notified via emails when your inspections, when you need to get inspections. So all those things can really get automated, and it really helps, one, for the transparency of the village, because all those things become readily available once they're tracked electronically. So we can start to use that for budgetary purposes. How much time are we spending on this permit versus how much time are we spending on that permit? So it really does have a lot of benefits. I know a lot of our other departments have already gone electronic. Police is using the system now that seems to be working for them. So we're hoping that we're just the next step to really helping the village kind of go online.
Great, thank you. Steve, as a resident, am I able to trim my parkway trees?
Yes. And we would encourage you to do that. If you have a little limb sticking over the mailbox, I'm sure the post office would appreciate it, one over your driveway. And I would first suggest you to go to the International Society of Arboriculture website, where they will have some great how-tos. And as residents, all of us are paying our garbage service, and if it is cut up per their requirements, 4 feet lengths, no more than 70 pounds, wound up, then it's taken away at no cost. If, however, it is too big, the limbs are too big, you don't have the ability, we do have a block tree trimming program. We'd be happy to come out. This year we did hire a contractor, and I think we've trimmed almost 1,000 trees. The staff typically, depending on how much snow we get, can do anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 trees, but we just don't have enough staff, so we're augmenting that with Homer Tree Care. And if I could have 30 seconds more, Ken brought up a good point about emerald ash borer. It only gets the ash trees, white ash, green ash, blue ash, black ash, but I have had to dedicate one individual to do only that. Now, if we look at the steps required, he has to mark the tree for removal, make sure the vendor cut it down. We have to get the grinding piles. He needs to put a flag in for the vendor to plant it, make sure the tree is planted right and it's a good tree, and then go back 1 year to make sure that it's still good because we have warranty. So that's 5 or 6 stops for one individual times 10,000 trees. He's already made 50 or 60,000 stops. So I kind of simplified it with removal and replacement. There's a little bit more in between.
A little extra of a process there that we're not aware of. Now, sometimes you see these tags on the trees. What are those?
Yes, so in 2013, we treated 6,000 trees that met the criteria of being a tree that may respond. So they were injected at the bottom, and remember earlier I talked about the plumbing? Well, that product went up all the way to the tips of the trees. It was guaranteed to last for 2 years. We saw it last much longer than that. So what would happen is the beetle would begin to feed on the tree, and that would be the end of the beetle. And we had great success, but I am seeing, based on woodpecker damage, if you're out and about and you see a lot of woodpecker damage, that means that tree is loaded with larvae. So I think we're about to see another wave of emerald ash borer. But remember, it only gets ash trees. Only ash.
Interesting. Ken, as village residents, is there anything that we can do to assist, help, and maintain the village?
Like during a snowstorm, I know it's not possible for everyone, but staying off the roads is a big deal for us. If you give us the time and the room to do it, we appreciate it. Another thing would be when you're plowing, when you're doing your own driveway, don't throw the snow into the street. In particular, if we've already done your street, because we don't come back to get that. So what's going to happen? It's just going to freeze on the street, and it's going to be an issue. Other than that, parking on the street. There is a rule that you can't park on the street after 2 inches. This is especially important in cul-de-sacs. If you're parked on a side street, we simply just drive around you. But if you're parked on a cul-de-sac, that's where we put the snow. So we can't just go around you, we need to get the snow somewhere, so that's where it makes it really difficult. So basically, keep the cars off the roads and let us get them clean, and then you can go back and park there.
Okay. So, I don't know, Ken, Dave, maybe a combination of, my street is always the last street to get plowed. And then you hear that from someone on the east or west or central. So can you talk to us a little bit about how you do a rotation? How does that work with regards to different parts of the village starting and ending points?
We have a magnet board with every route on it. So if you were first one storm, you're gonna be last. So every full cleanup we do, it rotates. This way, no one's ever first all the time and no one's ever last all the time. But keep in mind, we may go through a winter and only do 4 or 5 full cleanups. So you only move 5 steps. So it may seem like you're the last one.
And no one is really last, because we don't ever have one truck out there finishing up. We'll have 16 to 18 trucks out there, so there'll be 16
Last.
last. So, and we're a team, it's a team effort. No one goes home until the entire town is done. So there will be times when we're doing court routes, that's the most time-consuming thing we do. But we may have 3 or 4 trucks in one court route trying to knock it out, because those are our last courts to do. So no one is really last. There's 16 last people, basically.
Got you.
A lot of ties.
And then some of the other things with regards to maintenance and village and public works, public services, like if a light is out with regards to safety, what do we do as residents? How do we get that addressed? I know we just implemented a new system. Can you talk to about that a little bit?
It's similar to what Matt was talking about. There's several ways. There's on our, there's the Bolingbrook app that you can put service cards in. But basically, if you have like a street light that's out, it's important for you to tell us that, because we work during the day. So it's hard for us to find out which ones are out unless you call us in. Every light pole has a tag number. It'll be a letter followed by some numbers. If you can call that into us, tell us the street and give us that number, it just makes it so much easier for us, and we'll take care of it as soon as we get a chance. We did go through a light replacement for all our street lights. They're all LED now, and they are under a 10-year warranty. So we go out, we make sure the street light's not working, and like I said, it's under warranty, so our contractor, I think he waits till he gets 5 or 10 and then goes and they fix them all at one time.
Great, thank you. Do you have any closing remarks for our residents who are watching? We've got anywhere from 45 to 50 residents that have been steadily watching this program. So anything in closing for our residents?
I would like to say, as far as Snow Command, we appreciate your patience. Once the snow starts falling, we are out and we don't stop until the storm is completely cleaned up. I know some people may feel they're always last. I know you'd like us there before you go to work, but that's not always possible. It's always the timing. So I would just ask for your patience and know that we're doing the best job we can for you.
Well, I'm not the sewer guy, but my tree leaves frequently block the sewers. When you're out there to get your mail, if you could look and just clean off your sewer lid, that helps the melted snow drain, stops the flooding in the spring and summer rains. Cleaning off your own, adopt your sewer lid near your home.
I like it.
Yeah, definitely. As well as your fire hydrant. Make sure your fire hydrants, I know this isn't fire, but fire hydrants clear from snow. I know that our firefighters appreciate that as well. Matt, you got anything for us?
I would just kind of reiterate the fact of just being active. We don't always get the chance to see everything that goes on social media, so if there is a real problem, please utilize the website or please give us a call. That's the quickest way we can get something fixed. As much as we all like to be on Facebook, we can't see everything, so I would just really encourage people. Our website has been redone. There's a lot of things you can do now online that can really help get things done quicker and faster.
Great, thank you. Dave?
I'll make one more comment on the mailboxes. Before winter starts, you should always inspect your mailbox. Make sure you don't have rusty screws. Make sure your hinges are good. If your post is cracked, replace your post. If you go on the post office website, they got a great diagram. When you install a mailbox, the front of the mailbox should be 6 to 8 inches behind the curb. The bottom of the mailbox should be 42 inches high. If every mailbox was installed to specs, our plows would never hit a mailbox. It would be strictly discharge. That would knock them down. But it's good to check them every year before winter comes.
Great, thank you. Well, thank you all for joining me today. This has definitely been great information that we're sharing with our residents. And thank you to the residents who have been a part of this and watched it. We appreciate everything that the Public Services Department does, Public Works, and we're glad that you are all part of our village. That wraps it up for today's episode. Stay tuned. In the month of February, we have some more guests that'll be joining us, so please join us on the Mayor Mary Facebook page as well as the Village Facebook page for upcoming episodes. Thank you again very much, and stay safe.